Good evening and welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. My name's Tonchi Prusak. I'm your host tonight, and it is, yes, for most leagues, for a lot of leagues, in fact, the end of the season has arrived. It has concluded, but for others, it is starting to edge closer and closer to the final climactic part of the 2023 season, which means there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, and a lot to look back at the year that was 2023. But don't worry, folks. Here at the Game of Two Halves podcast, over the coming weeks, we will have a lot to talk about. If not the season that was, we'll certainly be already looking forward to 2024. Some say it's probably the most depressing part of the year when the soccer season finishes. And you wonder to yourself, what are we going to do? Well, there's always something to talk about in the world of soccer or world of football. Tonight, folks, we've got a massive show for you. And as we said, while the winter season now is starting to edge ever so close to its climactic finish, its conclusion, it's time to start thinking about summer. And when we talk about summer in Geelong, of course, we talk about futsal. So we will be talking to the operations manager of Geelong Futsal, DERMOTT TEBB. He'll be joining us a little bit later on. And also we'll be talking to North Geelong Warriors captain Ryan OPPERMANN. They've had a rather forgettable year, having been relegated from the NPL Victoria competition. And in fact, Ryan himself had a forgettable ending to the season. He was carried off with 10 minutes to go in the final game of the season against South Melbourne last week. Well, we'll find out the extent of that injury. We'll find out just how the Warriors have taken relegation. But it's not all doom and gloom. There is a positive upside to it all. We'll talk to him about the under-21s who are doing very, very well, and they are through to the Final Four, the preliminary final phase of the NPL Victoria under-21s competition. Lots of good quality juniors coming up through the ranks. Of course, we'll also look at the weekend that was, and boy, oh boy, was it an exciting final day of the season in the men's state league competitions. The women are around for another week, so we'll also look at that. There's so much to get through tonight. So, folks, without further ado, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we will have it will be time for our news desk. That will be the next one coming up. The weekend roundup, if you like. Don't go away.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands. Welcome
back to the Game of Two Halves, and it's time to take a look at what happened over the weekend. And like I said, it was a very, very climactic ending to the Men's State League season in State League 1, in State League 2, and certainly in State League 4. But let's go to the top. And State League 1, well, what a weekend this one was. It could have gone any way, but the equation was very simple for Corio. They just had to beat Whittlesea United at home at Hume Reserve, and that would have been the end result. And if we have a look at some of the highlights, well, Cameron Lee started the scoring in the 27th minute, and he made it 2-0 in the 70th minute. Whittlesea United had pulled one back by this stage. In fact, it was 1-1 at half-time. And then Festin Almazi scored 2 goals within a minute in the 87th and the 88th minute. It was enough to give Corio a very, very well-deserved win, 4-1, and it was exactly what they needed. And post-match, there was some jubilant scenes on the terraces as the Corio players acknowledged the fans. And it was great to see a lot of fans from other clubs, a lot of supporters from other clubs as well turning up, and that was great to see as well. So Altona City, they move on to the NPL 3 competition next year. They will be, one of the two teams that will be dropping down into the Men's State League will be Geelong. Geelong and Ballarat City, they will be coming down. Obviously, I would say that one of these teams will probably move over to the State League Southeast. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. Probably would be one of the northern suburbs teams or the inner city teams, possibly Banyule City. Anyway, next year, Corio and Geelong will be playing in a local derby. So that is at least something to look forward to without a doubt there. Moving along to State League 2. And Geelong Rangers, once again, the equation was quite simple. Defeat Hume United and you're safe. If you lose, results could go either way. You would be at the mercy of other teams. Well, as it turned out, Geelong Rangers fans needn't worry. Rangers ran out comfortable 8-0 winners over Hume United. James Hiddich got 2 goals. Anthony Piratina also scored 2 goals. Ryan Calder. Harry Hardy scored his first senior goal. Jordan Savinsky. And Connor Redden in the 41st minute scored a goal. It was his 201st senior game for Connor Redden. He completed his 200th game last week. And whilst on the subject of the Geelong Rangers, the reserves are the champions of State League 2 reserves. The Geelong Rangers reserves, that is. 16 wins, 2 draws and 4 losses. They managed to score 42 goals and concede only 17, the best of defence by an absolute mile. Charlie Johnson scored 11 goals. He was the reserves' leading goal scorer. Nathan Phillips, 7 goals. And for, I know around Myers Reserve, they do call the reserves team the development squad. A lot of talented young players coming up through the ranks. We turn our attention now to State 4, and this is the one that really had a lot of interest for Geelong clubs. First of all, for Geelong fans, there were 3 Geelong clubs in this competition, and it's the only division that's yielded a club that could potentially get promoted. Surf Coast on the weekend ran out easy 4-1 winners over Melbourne City, and look how close that is. Moonee Valley Knights in 3rd spot, the same amount of points as the Coasters, but a far less superior goal difference. Laverton, they're only 1 point ahead. Now, if they had stumbled, a draw or a loss, for example, against Moonee Ponds United, Surf Coast would have leapfrogged them, and they would have been the outright champions, and they would have received or gained automatic promotion to State League 3 Northwest. Wasn't to be. Laverton came out 2-0 winners over Moonee Ponds United. Now let's look at the other teams. Barwon 7 defeated Spring Hills 0. Milton Bailey scored 3 goals to take his season's tally to 26. However, he only finished second on the Golden Boot Award. Harry Kilpatrick scored 2, Johnny Luong 1, and Byron Interisi 1. Bell Park came up against the bottom side, Gisborne, at home, and it was a 2-2 draw. The first goal was an own goal, and the second goal by Gabriel Mage. But all eyes were on Surf Coast, and as they travelled to Edwards Reserve in Spotswood, and they came away with a convincing 4-1 win. Yoshko Ikanovic scored in the 25th minute to open the scoring for the Coasters. It was his 18th goal of the season, which put him in third spot on the top goal scorers chart. Christian Mann scored in the 32nd and the 42nd. That took his tally to 16 goals. So he was 5th overall. So 4 out of the top 5 sharpshooters in the State League 4 competition were all from Geelong. John Pike, he bopped up in the 76th minute to score his, get this, 34th goal of the season. So he was convincingly the Golden Boot winner in that division. Excellent performance there by the Coasters. Now, look, what that means is what does that translate to now? Well, it means that Surf Coast now will be playing up against the runners-up of State League 4 North, who were the Brunswick Zebras. That's this Saturday. The venue and time has yet to be decided by Football Victoria. Now, if anyone is out there from Surf Coast land in the chat section, do let us know. Do we have a time? Do we have a venue? Obviously, it will be a neutral venue, and one can only sort of contemplate it'll be somewhere in Melbourne. But the winner of that then the following week on Saturday, 9th of September, they will then come up against the 10th place team in State League 3, who were the West Side Strikers, Caroline Springs, who were in the State League 4. Was it last year or the year before? Either way, that will be a pretty tough game nonetheless. However, we believe that the Coasters will be able to get through. They'll jump through the first hurdle this weekend and follow that up with a win against West Side Strikers to earn a spot in State League 3. Wouldn't that be good? Next year, we would then have a Geelong team in each one of the State League competitions. But turning our attention now to State League 5, the final round of the season. Lara United hosted the champions Balmoral at Lara Recreation Reserve and did very well. They held the champions to a 0-0 draw, and Lara ended the season in 5th position with 33 points, the highest placed of the 3 Geelong teams in State League 5, rather. Surfside Waves, they've had a good run in the last couple of weeks, and that culminated with a win over Deakin Ducks 3-2 at the Shell Road Reserve. Oscar Beaumont Kelly scored 2 goals. David Ignacio Miller, he scored 1 goal for the Waves. And for the Ducks, James Robinson scored 2 goals, and that took his season's tally to 12 goals in total. The one shining light of the Deakin Ducks was the 200th game by veteran Troy Harrison. That is no mean feat. That is an incredible achievement. Well done to Troy. Congratulations to him on 200 games for the Deakin Ducks. Folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we're going to continue with the rest of the weekend roundup. We'll look at the VPLW competition. We'll look at the Women's State League 1, and we'll also look at the local leagues. Don't go away, folks. It is the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Hi, I'm Joe Gergich.
And I'm Helena Fentella.
And welcome to our family here at Harcourts.
Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Books to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. Based in Lara, Geelong, J Hill Books owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. The world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Books services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. You will know how your business is tracking as often as you need, whether that is on a weekly, monthly or quarterly basis. You can be satisfied that you are meeting your legal requirements to your staff and to the ATO. And deadlines will no longer be stressful for you. Let J Hill Books take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. That's right. Thank you to our advertising sponsors, Harcourt's, North Geelong and J Hill Books, as well as our major sponsor, the Gordon, for all their support this year. If it wasn't for all these businesses and these small businesses who are absolutely football-loving businesses and part of the football-loving community, we would not have been able to come out this year. The chat lines are going crazy, the comment section, and it's great to see. And we've got an answer to the kickoff and date. Thank you to Ashley James. 11:30 a.m. kickoff at Epping Stadium. It is a strange time, Veshko Bigovic. I agree. And then Brenton Ray says City Vista Recreation Reserve will host the playoff on September the 9th at 2 p.m. So that's Westside Strikers, Caroline Springs, taking on the winner of Brunswick Zebras or Surf Coast. A little bit of a home ground advantage there for Westside Strikers playing in Caroline Springs. But nonetheless, that is the case. Well, we're moving along now to the rest of the weekend roundup. And if we have a look, first of all, in the VPLW. Now, our girls, the Geelong Galaxy United, they had the bye. So they didn't play at all. Rather, instead, they will be this weekend in action in their last home game, or last game. It's not a home game. It's an away game, in fact. They'll travel to Eltham Redbacks, and that game kicks off at 3 p.m. on Sunday. So at the moment, it certainly looks like Geelong Galaxy will end up in 5th position. They may jump to 4th, depending on how Casey Comets go in their final round, but they will certainly finish a credible 5th. That's the least that they could finish. Moving along to the Women's State League 1 competition, and it's safe to say that all three Geelong sides will be staying in this competition. North Geelong have likely to finish. Well, they have finished in the third, in third position. Lara United, they could drop to 7th, but they may even jump up to as high as 5th, depending on what happens in the final round. And Geelong Rangers, well, they're 3 points clear of Brunswick Zebras, and it would have to take Brunswick Zebras to win, and to win quite handsomely, to dispose of Geelong Rangers. But let's have a look at what happened on the weekend, round 17 games. Rangers drew with the Zebras, so that hopefully it won't prove to be costly, but it was the bottom side. 1-1. Now, Ali Van Dalen scored in the 90-plus minutes. So this is deep into stoppage time. Trailing 1-0. Zebras, well, they certainly could have been in a very, very... Rangers could have found themselves in a very precarious position. However, Van Dalen stepped up to the plate and rescued the team with a goal late in the game there. Lara United, they lost to Caroline Springs 1-0 at Lara Recreation Reserve. And North Geelong defeated Mill Park 6-0 at Elcho Park. Olivia Ortiz scored a double. Miller Parkin and Rosie Skerritt scored singles, and Maeve McKenna also scored a double. The round 18 fixtures, Clifton Hill host Lara United. That game's at 1 p.m, the earlier game. North Geelong are at home to Keilor Park. That's going to be a tough game against the already promoted Keilor Park. That's at 3 p.m. And Geelong Rangers host the champions Bundoora United at Myers Reserve. Another tough game. That one is at 3 p.m. So it's going to be pretty difficult for those for the Rangers and the Warriors to get any points this weekend. But there's still hope. It is the last game of the season. Turning our attention to the local league, the Geelong Region Women's Division 1 competition. And we had round 8 matches. Deakin Ducks defeated Armstrong United 3-0. Surf Coast at home defeated Drysdale 1-0 to consolidate their second spot on the competition standings. A big win for Barwon, who travelled to the Lara Recreation Reserve. They came away with a massive 10-0 win over bottom side Lara United. And certainly last but not least, Bell Park at home defeated Surfside Waves 1-0. So we've got the last round coming up this weekend. Armstrong United hosts Surf Coast. Drysdale take on Lara United in the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers. Barwon are at home to Bell Park, and Surfside Waves host Deakin Ducks. Moving along to the men's competition now. We had in round 17, we had Bell Park and Armstrong United draw 2-2. Surf Coast defeated Barwon White 1-0. Then we had Barwon Heads 1-0 winners over Geelong Rangers. So it's the first win for the Hammerheads, their first win this season. It took them 16 games for that to happen. But there certainly would have been a fair bit of celebrating at the Barwon Heads Village Park yesterday afternoon. And finally, Barwon Blue and Breakwater Eagles drew 0-0. We take a look at the pairings for the last match of the season, or the last round of the season. Geelong Rangers host Barwon Blue on Friday night. FC Leopold hosts Surf Coast on Sunday. Barwon White are at home to Bell Park. Breakwater Eagles are at home to Armstrong United. And Barwon Heads has the bye. So as we can see there, that brings us to the end of our weekend roundup. Still one more round of matches to go, both in the Women's State League competition, the VPLW, but also the local leagues before the finals then starts to kick in. Yes, September is getting ever so close. Folks, here's a way how you can directly support the Game of Two Halves podcast. Sign up to the Geelong Weekly Football News Bulletin, released every Friday, and contains quite a large assortment of locally produced original articles. And it's only $5 per month, only $5 per month. And over the summer period, keep that subscription happening, because it certainly does help us with the Game of Two Halves podcast and being able to bring it to you week in, week out. There's the address, folks, www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. That's www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Okay, I think that brings us almost up to the to our next little break, and we're going to have our first guest coming on the show, and we'll be speaking to the North Geelong Warriors captain Ryan Opperman. He'll be joining us after this break. So, folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly with Ryan Opperman from the North Geelong Warriors, our first guest.
There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty and learn by doing in state-of-the-art facilities, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll graduate work ready, and you'll graduate sooner. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight, and a big shout out to all of the guys at Corio who are celebrating survival in State League One. Santino Mamone, Veshko Bigovic, Joey G, and the rest of the crew over there. It's good to see Corio stay in State One. It's also good to see Veshko's going to have a drinking competition now, because we've got someone from North Geelong, and it is the captain of the North Geelong Warriors who's our guest tonight, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Ryan OPPERMANN. Ryan, how are you doing?
Yeah, good to be here, Tonchi. Dust has settled a little bit on the year. It's disappointing, that's for sure, but looking forward to enjoying a bit of time off in the off season, and then getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, absolutely. After. Now let's first of all talk about yourself, mate. You had it was a scary moment about 10 minutes to go in the last game of the season against South Melbourne, when you were actually carried off the pitch, and initially there was thoughts it could have been an ACL, it could have been a knee injury. How bad is it, and is it as bad as what was first speculated?
Definitely not as bad as what was first sort of appeared and it felt at the time. I've had quite a bit of troubles with both my knees throughout the year, and it just the sort of the way it landed, and it sort of hyperextended. So nothing structurally. Still a little bit sore, but it's not going to keep me out for too long, and come at a good time with the end of the year. So
last game of the season, absolutely. So do you have to do any rehab or anything like that, or not? You're just a little bit of rest?
Just a bit of rest at the moment, a bit of walking, go for light pool sessions, and then in a couple of weeks just start getting back into the swing of things, try to get back on the track, and take it from there.
Speaking of which, what are the plans now for the boys? Are they just going to have a complete break? Or I know the Australian-Croatian tournament's coming up in late September in Adelaide this year, and from all accounts, it's going to be a massive one. Are the boys going to take a bit of a break and then start training for that?
Look, we'll have a couple of weeks off. We had actually a discussion today down at the club just about Crow Tourney in Adelaide and what that's going to look like. A bit of training beforehand. Fortunately enough, the 21s are still in the finals campaign, so we'll have a few boys from there come in. So we don't want to obviously take away their focus from a massive game this weekend, but a few of the younger boys will look to join us. So we'll have a light couple training sessions before we head up to tournament. But in the meantime, we'll have a bit of a break and enjoy the next 1 to 2 weeks off.
Yeah, let's have a look at the North Geelong under-21s. It was a good performance on the weekend. The elimination final of the under-21s, they travelled up to Hume City Stadium and came away with a good 2-0 win there over Hume City. I think it was the goal scorers there were, if I'm not mistaken, Marcus Perrotton in the 71st minute and Ben Manga in the 80th minute. The preliminary final will be held this Friday. So they come up against the top team, the team that finished on top spot, the minor premiers, Port Melbourne, who are basically at their home ground, so JL Murphy Reserve. Kickoff there is 7:30 p.m. this Friday. But look, if anything, Ryan, if there was a bright spark this year, and I had the privilege of commentating all of North's games this year, so I saw quite a fair bit of North Geelong this year. I guess one of the bright things would have been the emergence of a lot of the young talent that has come up through the under-21s, the under-18s. I guess that as captain, you must have really been happy to see so many young players given a chance, but also some of them did very, very well.
Yeah, look, and I think it's credit to them as well, and the youth system that we've got there, that they're able to come into the team and sort of not look out of place. And a credit to each individual player that's come on the field and played their part. It's not an easy thing to do, coming into an top NPL environment, and the boys have done really well. And it's shown as well. The credit goes to all the 21s coaching staff, the 18s coaching staff. Sean's done an amazing job with the boys. So credit really goes to the players, and the coaching staff for getting them match ready. And fortunate enough they were able to take their opportunity. We had a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah.
So with that comes the need for a lot of depth. So the guys were able to take their chances.
Now, obviously, having lost a lot of quality young players, in particular the Skoko brothers, Anthony Lebar, Nicholas Volatovic, who went overseas, losing a lot of those quality players. But a lot of these younger players that started to come through the ranks as well have been, as we said, have been quite impressive. Who are some of the kids? Who are some of the kids that have really stepped up? And I'm not talking just on match day on the field, but in the change rooms, they've really sort of fitted in well, or on the training track, they really try their hardest and really give some of the more experienced players a real run for their money. Who really impressed you as captain?
I think there was a couple of boys. We had Rocker had played a couple of games for us all throughout the year. James as well, out wide, come on, sort of made an instant impact with his speed. Even Seth in keeper as well. Hamish had his unfortunate knee injury with his ACL, and I thought he's been exceptional. You saw 2 team of the weeks as well. Spence as well, one of the other young boys coming through. Benji played a couple of games as well. Luke Zivovic as well. We were struggling with a striker all year, and at a kid such as his age to be able to be a focal point in the NPL, that comes with a lot of pressure as well. And I thought he handled himself. But there's a half a dozen boys that throughout the season played a part, and it's going to be real beneficial for them in their career and going forward, and hopefully they take that next step, and similar to the Skokos, Vlarik as well, go overseas and try and make something of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, you played in NPL 2 last year. You then obviously played in NPL this year. And you've been with the club there for how many years have you been at North now?
This will be my 5th year. I think it was 17, 18 or 18, 19. One of those two that I come aboard.
Yeah. Well, obviously with the emergence of these young guys and give them another year, just to solidify themselves. Next year, obviously in NPL 2, at the moment, because we kind of really don't know what's going on with this national second division. But putting that aside, how do you think that the current core of the team would go in NPL 2?
Look, it's a difficult one to say. I think we saw the strength of the NPL 2 this year with the likes of Paco.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Brunswick Juventus.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that were up there when we were playing in the NPL 2 division. They're struggling. So you really don't know until you hit the ground running in that round 1 to round 7 period. Then you sort of see where teams are going to be fitting throughout the year. Look, I still think we have a great bunch of core guys that have been with the team for a long period now, and the standards are sort of there. So now it's just building those other guys coming through, and then obviously you want to pick up a couple more experienced players along the way and see what you can get. And then we back ourselves every year. Even going into this season, we knew it was going to be difficult. But if you go into every game thinking that you're already defeated, then you got one foot out the door already. So we were fortunate enough to, credit to the guys to get it down to the last game of the year. We gave ourselves every chance. It wasn't to be, but at least giving ourselves an opportunity to stay up to the last game is something that the guys can take a bit of pride in.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you something about your thoughts on the whole, promotion relegation, because you were involved in a relegation battle this year. Last year, you were involved in a promotion battle. But I was out at Hume Reserve. I actually saw your father there, caught up with him and spoke to him for a bit. I was out at Hume Reserve and just the excitement of a relegation battle. What are your thoughts on that? Is it something that's absolutely tense and you as a player hate being involved in that, or is it quite thrilling, quite exciting, and the adrenaline level just goes up a notch in the week leading up to it?
I don't know which side I'd rather be on.
The promotion one, yeah.
Look, I think probably the most difficult thing on the relegation side of things is it's the people that you're sort of playing for off the field as well. All the members, the fans, the supporters that come in, week out. And then you want to try give the juniors as well playing in that. The 21s trying to be playing in the NPL 1 competition as well. So it's not just playing for yourself; you're playing for the club itself. So that's probably one of the most difficult things, and the one of the things that sort of lets myself down on a personal aspect, because you want to do what's best for the club and try to keep them up in the league that they belong in. So that's probably the most difficult part. But at the same time, you got a job to do each week, and you got to try to get the win each game. So that's probably the most difficult thing.
Yeah. Now, Tommy Gavran, the coach, he's parted ways with the Warriors. Must have been very hard for him, Stuart Begg, resigning midway through the season. And yes, Tommy was the assistant, but he stepped in, and did the best that he could. How did you find the two styles, Stuart's and then and Tommy's? Were they very similar? Did they differ much? What were they like as coaches?
I think it's hard to say. Look, Tommy did a great job considering the circumstances. Sort of thrown in the deep end. Hadn't had any sort of senior coaching experience prior to that. But I think, and what people won't be able to fault Tommy on is his commitment. I don't think he missed one training session all year. So his commitment definitely can't be questioned at all. And I think, obviously, it's never easy parting ways with a coach at the end of the year, but I think he'll take plenty of learnings from that as well. But yeah, in question probably between the two, I think it's probably time as well. Stu's been around that senior environment for a while. Prior to Stu, it was James Coots as well. So I think a great mentor with James Coots prior to himself becoming the senior coach. So I think similar to Stu, I think Tommy will take those learnings out of it and take the positives, and then I'm sure we'll be seeing him around the traps somewhere.
Yeah. If Tommy is tuning into the show tonight, thank you very much, Tommy Gavran, for all your assistance, because I found him to be very accessible all the time whenever I needed quotes or any, even getting him on the show, that's for sure. Ryan, thanks very much for joining us on the show tonight. Thanks for giving us an update with that knee of yours, and thankfully it isn't as bad as it certainly looked back then. But enjoy the little bit of a break, and before you know it, the preseason will get back underway. And we call it the competition of chaos, this NPL 2 division, on one of our other sister podcast shows. But next year with Preston Lions, Caroline Springs, George Cross, all the A-League academy sides, it's going to be one exciting year, 2024, that's for sure.
Definitely will. Put ourselves in contention to be back in the top flight.
Oh, look forward to it, mate. Look forward to having you on the show in 2024 as well. Until then, have a nice break.
Appreciate it, Tonchi. Be safe.
Thanks, Ryan. Ryan Opperman, that was fantastic to have him on the show. The captain of the North Geelong Warriors, and it's always great to have him on the show. And we certainly look forward to having him next season in 2024, when that is going to be a very, very interesting competition, the NPL 2 competition. Competition of chaos, it was done this year. Will it live up to similar expectations next year? We're going to take a break, folks. When we return here on the Game of Two Halves podcast, we will then have our second guest, and he is the operations manager of Geelong Futsal, DERMOTT TEBB. He'll be joining us straight after this. Folks, don't go away. It's the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and proudly brought to you by our major sponsor, the Gordon. Speaking of the Gordon, here's a few words from our major sponsor.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work-ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, and it is time now for our first guest of the evening. He's involved with Futsal Ballarat, which is also Futsal Geelong, or Geelong Futsal, I should say, and he's the operations director of Geelong Futsal, DERMOTT TEBB. DERMOTT, welcome to the show. Did I get that right? Is it the operations director of Geelong Futsal?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tonchi. And yeah, that is correct. Director of Operations at Geelong Futsal.
Now, mate, well, no sooner has the winter season, or about to finish. We haven't yet. I guess we're starting to come towards the end of it. And all systems are geared towards now the futsal season, the summer futsal season. With COVID and everything kind of behind us, and now finally with the transition from Futsal Geelong to Geelong Futsal, expecting a big summer season now?
Yeah, we are. We obviously started the programs last year, had really strong interest over summer, and are currently wrapping up our winter season over the next 3 or 4 weeks, but already trying to plan around the large intake for the upcoming summer. So we've already gone to our teams from last term and the last season for the winter competition, just to give first opportunity to come back into the programming that there's not going to be much space left with the demand that it's got. So really looking forward to everything going, and we'll be opening up to sort of the general public over the next few days.
Yeah, no, that's great to see. So at the moment, will all of the operations, the Geelong Futsal operations, be at Barwon Valley Activity Centre in Belmont, or will there be other venues as well?
We'll be facilitating all programs at BVAC there in Belmont for the summer competition, just the same as it was last year.
Yeah. Now, I guess one of the big things that has happened in recent weeks is the Women's World Cup here. And already we can see that there's a lot of interest amongst young girls, but also young boys as well, who want to take up the sport. Maybe they've played basketball or netball or what that other sport, what's it called, Aussie Rules, over the winter, and they're looking for an opportunity. Is that something that Geelong Futsal is taking into account, and possibly having to expand what its traditional nights, the weeknights of operations are, and looking into maybe weekends and things like that?
Yeah, we've well, firstly, it was brilliant, the World Cup. The support from everyone
Wasn't it?
But both boys and girls, it was good to see the boys really getting behind the women's game and supporting it, and it's only going to keep growing organically for both genders. So that was really good. We are looking at growing everything and seeing where we can expand, and we're looking to offer new programs. Our Monday to Friday competitions, we are anticipating being at full capacity, which means we've obviously got to look at the Saturday one. So last year we had a Saturday sort of under 6 to under 12 sort of divisions going, and we're going to be running something very similar, and we're anticipating that will be a key growth area for this upcoming summer season.
Yeah, I guess the beauty of that is that you have the venue available on the Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Sundays, I guess there's the market there. Is that going to affect things? Obviously, Sunday morning might be out of the question. Would probably Sunday afternoon, Sunday evenings be another option?
Yeah, look, we're looking for all options at the moment. In the next couple of weeks is sort of where we'll get a good understanding as team registrations keep coming through. We'll have more of an idea around what we can. But as you did point out there's pre-existing bookings around the market at BVAC that sort of make things a little difficult in wanting to run a weekly competition for the general public.
Yeah. Are there provisions, and we'll get to that shortly, about other venues and new venues that haven't been looked around? But are there other possibilities that there are City of Greater Geelong Council venues that could be used, should a Sunday morning comp or something like that be viable, or there be an interest for that?
Yeah, look, absolutely. We are looking at all avenues. We're working with the City of Greater Geelong and through the G21 as well, trying to outline, what the future is, and not just the upcoming summer season, but what the sport looks like in the next 5-10 years, and how it can grow, and what that demand is gonna require in the future.
Now, that's a good point that you bring, Dermot, the G21 soccer strategy. Now, at the moment, it's in a consultation phase, or if you like that, it's open for public consultation. So there's the draft report. We had Eddie Contell and Mike McKinstry on several weeks ago talking about this. Now, it's still available for consultation, I think, until September 10. But there's one point there that I wanted to allude you to, and it's quite small on the screen there. But point number 4, it says provide and/or facilitate access to existing indoor facilities for support increased participation in futsal. Now, that's all well and good, and it's great that they've actually involved futsal in that report. But do we now need people to actually say, look, we need your feedback? We need people to actually say, it's not just existing. We need to look now, because this report's going to go to 2033 for the next 10 years. We need people now to really put the pressure on all spheres of the government, especially the local council, to have new facilities built. Now, I'm sure there'll be multi-purpose, but why can't futsal get a part of it?
No, correct. And I think that's been a big thing coming out of the World Cup with the girls and the coaching staff there, that obviously we're having this big push and we've got good numbers, grassroots football and futsal happening, but the support really needs to come there through the government and at all levels, and that only really helps with getting more support from people actually putting in their feedback into general things like this.
Yep.
So the more people that can get on board and showcase that we really need help in growing the game is only going to help for the future. It's obviously not going to just happen, and we need to get the more people behind this, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are a footballing community that likes to sometimes criticise, and rightly so, and give our 2 bobs worth. But now is that opportunity for us to actually put our money where our mouth is and to actually do something about it. So, look, we've done all the hard yards for you folks. There it is. The link to provide the feedback and input for the draft Football Victoria G21 regional soccer football strategy is down the bottom. There it is, www.ieslp.com.au. And if nothing else, go to that website and in the search button, go G21 regional football soccer strategy. But we'll pop that up in the comments section as well, that link, so you can just copy and paste it, or you can click on that straight away. There we go. It does close on the 10th of September, and it is owned by Football Victoria, and the City of Greater Geelong is assuming a supporting role within the engagement process. Now, that's in line with all the other G21 LGAs. So if you're from Surf Coast, if you're from Bannockburn, if you're from Queenscliff and you're tuning into this show, doesn't mean now it's just the Geelong region. It's all regions as well. So we need your input. It won't be on the Council Have Your Say page, because it is being the feedback is collected in one place and it's external. So it's really important, folks, you do click on that website, and we'll leave that up just that little bit longer so you can really get your head around it. And look, we've only got about another 10 days, 11 days, or 2 weeks almost to get your feedback in. Plenty of time. I know I've provided my feedback. I made a point about that indoor facility as well. But all right, Dermot, let's return back to operational issues. The last time we spoke to yourself and your colleague Andrew Burgess, we talked about the possibility of academies as well, something that would provide a bit of a pathway to and development pathway for some of the region's talented futsal players. Where are we with regards to that?
Yeah, no, good segue there, Tonchi, because we are looking at bringing that in for term 4. Obviously, with the increased number of members over the summer period, we're going to look to offer further opportunities for the talented players, both male and female, and look to basically bring in the Geelong Futsal Academy, which will train weekly, and then look to go into some competitions both regionally and throughout the state.
That's brilliant, because I think, I guess up until now, talented players have had to either go to Melbourne or in Ballarat, which has provided the quality coaching. And that brings me, I guess, to the next point. What's your early impressions of the level of futsal coaching here available in Geelong? Is that something else that we need to work on, or is it just going to be a case of, particularly in the short term, we're just going to have to get qualified coaches from outside of Geelong to come here and provide those programs?
Yeah, look, it's going to be with growth. We need to grow all aspects of the game. That's obviously like we talked about earlier with stadium facilities, members, referees and coaching, both quality and quantity to grow, to make sure that everyone's getting a good environment to prosper to the best of their ability. And we're going to look to do exactly that. We'll bring in people externally to make sure that there is the quality there, but we also want to grow the game at the local level and allow people the opportunity to really help to grow the game holistically.
Yeah, so if you're a referee looking for some extra pocket money over the summer season, if you are looking at getting into coaching, whether it's your kids or whether it's actually down a kind of a professional pathway, or you are a team and wanting to get involved, there's the website www.geelongfutsal.com.au, or email Dermot at geelongfutsal.com.au. It's right down the bottom there, so we'll leave that little tag ticker going along a little bit longer. But it looks like it's going to be an exciting summer season of futsal. I know in the going back 3-4 years prior to COVID, it was such a big thing, and everyone wanted to play, particularly the juniors, to keep themselves fit and active over the summer months. But I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for everyone, whether it be at the social level or at the little bit more competitive level. Finally, mate, what's your plans for the Futsal Geelong area? Are we looking at possibly, having either a league or a team that's going to be competing in some of the more like the F League? That was being moved. Actually, while we're talking about that, what's the latest with that? Because since we sort of started talking about it mid-year, there hasn't been really much information about an F League. Do you know anything about it?
Information is dribbling out rather slowly. I think it's still slated to be over the summer period, but I haven't had much information come to light either. But look, that is something that we would look to do down the track, and that would be in line with the Geelong Futsal Academy. And again, we want to grow everything. Our key part at the moment is to offer everyone the opportunity to come and play at sort of the a social competitive level, and then we'll look at the more elite / pathway down the track. But that is definitely something that we'd love to have a representative side for Geelong, showcasing the talent in the area against the best kids and adults around Victoria and potentially Australia. But yeah, it's FE's got to get it up and running, I guess, at the start.
Yeah. I guess that's well. There's a lot of speculation these days. The National Second Division, the F League, which would be kind of like a state league run by Football Victoria. I guess how important do you think? I mean, how important do you think an F League is? Because at the moment there's 2-3 different organisations, futsal organisations in Victoria, and there's no real kind of overarching like a Super League or Premier League, is there, at the moment?
Yeah, look, personally, the pathway is a little bit construed with everyone that's coming in. FV in past haven't done a great job in sort of overseeing everything. I think they're really starting to put their foot out and take the lead on it, which is good. And I think these sort of things are only going to help to really outline the pathway for future. It's obviously going to have the potential issues at the start as they're sort of ironing out all the issues, but it can only be good for the future as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, exciting times definitely as far as futsal in Geelong, and we look forward to hearing more about it either later this year or early next year. But mate, wishing you all the very best, and looks like you're going to have your hands full with what promises to be a absolute bumper summer season of futsal in Geelong.
No, absolutely appreciate the time allowing us to come on, Tonchi, and look forward to giving everyone another summer futsal competition in the coming weeks.
Good on you. DERMOTT TEBB, the Operations Manager Director of Geelong Futsal. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. As you could probably tell, that was a pre-recorded interview. We had to catch up earlier tonight because Dermot was unavailable live. That brings us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you very much for being a part of episode 119. We look forward to having your company again next Monday night at 8 p.m. when we bring to the close. We bring the local season as well as the Women's State League comps. Good night. Bye-bye.